Hello there, everybody. Welcome back to the Roderick Geo channel. Today, we're going to ask the question, why did the world let India annex Goa? Strange, I know. I always saw Goa as part of India, and I know it was a Portuguese colony for the longest time, but it's weird that it's phrased, why did the world let India annex Goa? And why not say, why did it take so long for the world to annex Goa, or why did it take so long for Goa to become part of India? I don't know. Listen. Anyways, I was scrolling through my recommended. This one popped out to me. It's by History Matters. If you want to take a look at it, it will be linked in the description below. It's a shorter video, about 3 minutes long. So another one surprisingly popped up as well. This one called The Indian Invasion / Liberation of Goa in 1 minute using Google Earth. It's a 1 minute long video. I think it's going to be a good little accompaniment to the first video that we're watching, which is Why Did the World Let India Annex Goa? Short animated documentary. So again, guys, the link to both of these videos will be in the description down below, so make sure to go check them out. And yeah, without further ado, I say let's get into this.
After World War II, the global community for the most part came to the conclusion that invading your neighbours to take land wasn't okay anymore.
And yet it still happens. I mean, most recently, Ukraine with Russia.
In 1961, India invaded the Portuguese overseas territory of Goa to incorporate it into the country, and right what the Indian government saw as a historic wrong. But given that India simply marched its army into the territory of a Western European nation, this raises a question. How did the world react to this, and why didn't anybody try to stop India? So, as you'll know, India gained its independence from Britain in 1947 alongside Pakistan, and despite Britain being gone, there were other European countries.
I just want to point out, he is using the wrong map.
Territory in the area. France, for its part, ceded its lands to India in the 1950s, and India had hoped that Portugal would do the same, and so it asked if the country was open to handing Goa back and when it would do so. The Portuguese response was that they were happy to do that roughly 5 minutes after the heat death of the universe. And the reason that Portugal refused was that unlike Britain or France, the Portuguese government held no distinction between overseas territories and Portugal itself. Shockingly, the Indian government wasn't happy with this.
So Portugal... Oh, that's weird. So Portugal saw it as a specific, just like another part of its main country. Is that what I'm getting from that? That's really interesting.
And so built up its military on the border and started to hint that it would invade. The Portuguese knew that they couldn't resist, and so they turned to a third party to negotiate, the British. In a twist that would shock exactly 0 people, the Indian government wasn't willing to be lectured by their former colonial masters on what lands they were entitled to. And so relations got worse and India sanctioned Portugal. The Indian government continued with the diplomatic route until 1960 when it decided to just conquer the lands instead. In December 1961, the Indian army entered Goa, and in 2 days it had been overrun and the Portuguese garrison there had surrendered. So how exactly did the world react? Well, when the invasion occurred...
Okay, I don't know why it keeps jumping down to the comments. One question, why are they using... Because from my understanding, the people in Goa were basically, the majority of them were Indians themselves, right? Like Indian descent, Indian heritage. So why is this guy depicting them as like 2 different skin colors? I don't know.
Had surrendered. So how exactly did the world react? Well, when the invasion occurred, the Soviet Premier Nikita Khrushchev was visiting the country, and along with the rest of the communist world, he congratulated the Indians on making their country whole again. With one notable exception, China, because the response there was mostly non-existent because, well, they were busy planning for a thing. But as for the rest of the world, well, the Portuguese of course were none too pleased, but they had one trick up their sleeve. NATO. The hope was that since Portugal saw Goa as a part of the country proper, NATO would do the same. It did not. Instead, most NATO nations condemned the invasion, demanded that India withdraw, and some placed India under sanction. Britain was less hard.
That's crazy. That seems really, really wild to me. Really? They sanctioned them, they condemned them, but it was a part of India. Like after the colon. Okay, all right, okay. We'll just keep watching the video.
Harsh in its condemnation and largely blamed Portugal for not accepting the inevitable. But beyond this, there was nothing the world really could do. No nation in NATO cared.
Again, Portugal wanted NATO to basically go to war with India over Goa.
To do more than the absolute bare minimum to defend the dying Portuguese Empire, and India knew this. Furthermore, it was difficult for Portugal or its allies to retaliate because the overwhelming majority of Goa's population wanted to join India. After which there was nothing more to be done, and so everybody accepted it almost immediately thereafter. Of course, with the exception being Portugal. And it wasn't until its dictatorship was overthrown by the military in the 1970s that the new government formally acknowledged the loss of Goa, after which the two nations normalised relations and everybody moved on and the annexation was largely forgotten. I hope you enjoyed this episode with a special thanks to my patrons, James Bizanet, Kelly Moneymaker, Corsho Wolf, Sky Chappelle, Kartoitska, Jerry Lambdin, Alex Schwinn, Adam Stalter, Jordan Longley, Rod D. Martin, Wyan Hockey, Marcus Arsner, Captain Sidog, Marvin Cassow, Spencer Lightfoot, Winston Kaywood, Boogily Woogly, Daniel Tabian, Kamoon Yoon, Miss Izet, Gustav Swan, Aaron the White, Anthony Beckett, The McWhopper, Maggie Patskowski, Copper Tone, Spinning Three Plates, Shuenin, Words About Books Podcast, and Charles I.
Interesting. I don't know. It's weird to me that when India, I mean, I guess it's because it was part of Portugal, right? But even France gave its colonies back to India. I guess yeah. Again, I don't really I don't really know much about the geopolitical going-ons back, during the 1900s, even around this time. So it's hard for me to wrap my brain around it with the limited knowledge that I have. He did reference there that Portugal was under a dictatorship at the time, so I'm assuming maybe that's why they were so hard against it. I don't know. Okay, well, I'm going to watch the other video now, the 1 minute long video where it shows the advancements of the actual war.
We are prepared to negotiate with the Indian Union in every way if the Portuguese sovereignty is fully respected.
So right away, Portugal had 2 casualties. Wow. So is this the amount of troops here? 45,000 versus less than 4,000?
We are prepared to negotiate with them in regard to any other problem, including any guarantee, any international guarantee if necessary, which might ensure the Indian Union that their sovereignty and their security would not be jeopardized.
So there was conflict. There was a lot of war going on. Okay, a lot of battles. Because look, I mean, we're well over 100 casualties already. They annexed a big portion of Goa there.
It may be useful to remind you that the Indian Union has a population of 450 million people, whereas Portuguese territory is
Whoa! Okay, they killed a lot of the Portuguese soldiers, I'm assuming, there. That skyrocketed in tension. So this is all within a very, very short period of time as well. So, so is this all in a single day?
Including
the 17th, 19th. So it was all within 2 days. Wow. Within 2 days, they jumped. Portugal had 4,700 casualties, while India had 76 casualties. Okay. Wow. All right. Let's read some comments. Comments on the first video over here. I can't believe Portugal didn't leave when they were told to go away. It's funny. Go away. As an Indian, thank you for making a video on this. Also, one thing you forgot that is that Portugal did send their navy to respond, but Egypt blocked the Suez Canal for them because India had supported Egypt in the 1956 Suez crisis. Oh, interesting. Okay. It's astonishing how many European colonizers were aiming for India a couple of centuries ago just because of the enormous wealth India had. As a Goan, I am glad you covered this historical topic. Goa gets invaded, Portugal help. UK, I already knew this would happen. I'm just that experienced. As a Goan, India invading us has been the best thing for us in more than 400 years. I would implore anyone reading this comment to read the Goa Inquisition. Oh yeah, that's terrible. We learned about that a couple weeks back. The video is up on the channel, so if you want to check that out, you can go take a look at that. But yeah, the Goa Inquisition is terrible. The horrific things the Portuguese did to my people in the name of Catholicism will never be forgotten nor forgiven. Because Goa was rightfully ours. My father was part of the Indian forces that entered Goa to liberate it. He was the Indian Air Force. He had just joined 3 years earlier, in 1958. They'd be happy to do that after the heat death of the universe. I love this channel's humor. This channel made me so paranoid about Napoleon appearing in historical events that have nothing to do with him that I half expected him to somehow show up in this episode. Many people from Goa wrongly think that the Portuguese weren't as cruel as Indians as the British were. Portugal occupied Indian territory 2 centuries before Britain did and carried out a horrific program called the Goa Inquisition for centuries. But by the 1900s, Portuguese realized that they had very little control over the people of Goa because the rest of the country was strongly revolting against the British rule, and the Portuguese knew that they would face the same in Goa if they tried to assert the control over the people. In a twist, the world shocked exactly 0 people. The Indian government wasn't willing to be lectured by the former colonial masters. Goa was never leased or sold to Portuguese, but it invaded Goa state through force, same way India took it back, by force. Portugal to NATO, they're just invading our territory. Time to trigger Article 5, right? NATO, read. Okay. I'm going to switch to some of the newer comments now. It's called Taken Back. We didn't invited them to colonize our land. They just assumed that it's their responsibility. Portugal invaded Goa. We took it back, as well as the people of Goa. It's a democracy, not a colony. Regardless of justification, NATO has no honor behind it. Okay. Story not correct. Goa people had started Goa liberation movement and wanted to join India. India just helped them. Show the Indian map correctly, including POK. Please use correct map of India and as used by the Indian government. You have shown map of topmost part in Pakistan, which they have illegally occupied. Wait, does that mean that India is the only country in the world that attacked a NATO nation and won? Yes, but the reason NATO didn't intervene at the time is because Goa was just a colony of Portugal. This is not an Israeli situation. Buzz off. That's so random. Please correct the map. POK is not Pakistan. It kind of is. We took back what was ours. End of debate. You have showed wrong map of India. That's why NATO is a joke. Please use correct map of India. It's called Reconquista. The content creator ignorantly showed wrong map of India throughout the video. Using the words of India annex Goa is by itself Western hypocrisy. That's what I'm saying. Like, that's just a weird way to position this, right? It's like it's a very weird wording. The world, why did the world allow India to annex Goa? It's like Goa was always originally part of the Indian subcontinent, therefore part of India, right? Please show correct map of India. Your Indian map is wrong. India map is wrong. We took back what was ours. When the colonizers find the people that own the land actually can invade them. Use correct map. Wrong map of India. Wrong map. You think anyone can stop us? Portuguese clowns. Best animation. You showed wrong map of India. All right, we're gonna let's scroll down a couple months. What happened? We went backwards. Okay, we'll go back down. Here's fine. India reclaiming their own land. Imagine that. Show Indian map correctly, otherwise you can feel some resistance. What a silly question. Colonial masters. No wonder they were kicked out. What a shame. Masters of what? Well, at the end they became nobody of masters of nothing. True. Why is the Indian top part of the map wrong? First, use correct map of India, wrong map of India. Okay, I think we understand. I think we understand where the comments are coming from on that one, right? Yeah. Let's go look at the other one. Ironic how Portugal was the first European nation to reach India and the last one to leave. Oh, edit, okay, fine. Western Europe, for fuck's sake. Portugal lost their free vacation. The ratio of casualties is crazy. I'm keeping that land. No, Goa away. The casualties after that, though, invasion, Reconquista. If Portugal had no intention in defending it, why didn't they give it up? Senseless waste of soldiers' life. Dunkirk, but 1,000 times calmer. My grandmother lived in Portugal, Goa. She saw the tanks roll in. Wow. Pretty sure historical nations, God, did this already with units, but didn't finish the invasion. I don't know what that means. Okay. What would it have been like if Goa had operated one country, two system like Macau? I don't know. Thank you, Indian military, for giving us beautiful beaches. I had no idea they were actually fighting and not just a quick annexation. It was 2 days of fighting, and nearly 5,000 casualties. That's crazy. Now, casualties doesn't necessarily mean deaths, right? Casualties could mean dead and wounded. This is a Korean comment here. What does this have to say? This incident influenced the return of Macau in 1999. If something like an orphan incident occurs in China, he strongly warned that the Portuguese military and police would be regarded as war criminals and would be annihilated. Portugal's imperial glory ended with the abandonment of Macau in 1999. Only if NATO was for any territory you own? What the Sigma? What the Sigma? Wow, Skibidi, that toilet. You got that Max Riz. The Rizzler's in town. What the Sigma? I'm going to read some new comments now. Look, China, that's how you do it. Oh. I don't like that comment. Free Hong Kong, free Tibet. Taiwan is the true China. WTF, how liberating our own land is invasion. True. This person says, completely wrong. Portuguese casualties were under 100 because India accepted their surrender and repatriated all the former surrendered combatants back into their country. Maybe deaths were under 100 because casualties can mean wounded and dead. Invasion of Goans by the Hindi Empire. They are corrected it for you. Okay. The people were with random old European people in the profile saying how it should still be Portuguese. Makes me laugh. Did I don't think I've seen any of those yet. It's liberation of Goa. Goodness gracious that NATO didn't get involved. Wait, who won? I'm reading some comments where some people are saying Goa should be in Portugal. Goa shouldn't go to India, etc., etc. Where are these comments at? I want to see these comments. Oh, this guy downvoting that. That's a slur. Goa is ours. India commuted several war crimes on the captured Portuguese. Quite a tragedy. Okay. I had no idea there was actual fighting. Who thinks India is weak? What? Okay. Why did India invade it? Because, okay, I'm not going to answer that question. That's how that region lost its priority of being hygienic. Okay, so there's a lot of racist people in the comments when you sort by new. Okay. Free Goa. What does this say? Goa is part of Portugal. Oh, and then this person is clearly like Pakistani or something, right? What is this? What is this? I don't know what language. Is that Urdu? I can't tell. Another Korean comment. Interesting. Already read that one. If Portugal had no intentions in defending it, why didn't they give it up? Senseless waste of soldiers' life. Oh, I think we've like wrapped back around from top comment from new comment. Is this an older video? Newer video? This video is only 4 weeks old. Okay. So, yeah. Well, that was Pigeon in a nutshell. And History Matters. We can take a look at their channels as well. So here is History Matters. They have quite a few videos. What's their most popular video? When kamikaze pilots failed. Okay. And then Pigeon in a Nutshell, their most popular video. World War II every day using Google Earth. Oh, interesting. Seems like a really interesting little deal there. All right. Well, again, those two videos will be linked in the channel down below, or in the description down below. So make sure to check out their channels. And yeah, with that, we're going to go ahead and go now. Thank you for watching. Remember to like, subscribe, leave a comment. Take care. Goodbye.